Live from the bridge at the Launchpad Studios in Huntington, New York, it's Sports Talk New York with your hosts, Mark Rosenman and AJ Carter. Sports Talk New York is sponsored in part by Cardboard Memories, Clearview, Long Island, the law firm of Decolator, Cohen, and DePrisco, the Phoenix Tube Company, PIMS Incorporated, fueling brand performance for 30 years, Prince Associates for all your insurance needs, and Soho Table Hockey. Here are your hosts, Mark and AJ.
And good Sunday evening to you. Mark Roseman, AJ Carter with you this Sunday evening, live from the Launchpad in Huntington. Jam-packed show for you tonight. I think there'll be some ups and downs, some spikes in the blood pressure, and we might as well get it started off as we do each and every week with the Cardboard Memories Major League Baseball Report with John Coppinger. It's sponsored by Cardboard Memories, which is one of the Long Island's most reputable memorabilia retail stores for over 29 years. The owner of Cardboard Memories, Scott Stamell, is known for his knowledge and savvy of authentic autographs. He's been featured on HBO Real Sports with Brian Gumbel. Cardboard Memories possesses the honesty and integrity one would want and need from a memorabilia source. Cardboard Memories is always buying collections, large and small. Let Cardboard Memories run your next charity fundraising auction. Call them to find out how they can help your organization at no cost. Cardboard Memories located at 6401 Jericho Turnpike, Comac, New York. Visit them on the web, cardboardmemories.com, or follow them on Facebook or Instagram. Listen, I love Pete Alonso. He is what he is. He's a little bit of a character. Was not pleased with his post-game comments today. Listen, we're not frustrated. We're hitting the balls. We got to put a smile on. We know that things are going to turn. We're here. You got to be with us. Listen, Todd Zeile said it best when they came out of that and said, he's got to be honest. And basically Zeile said this. He says, I want to hear him say, I suck right now. I got to do a better job. And he's 100% right. I don't want to hear how you're going to smile and things are going to turn around. You can't swing in back-to-back at-bats, 6 balls put in the same exact location and not even foul tip them.
And you have to take a look. This is not one game or 3 games, even one series. Mark, go back. Was it 10 days ago? We were both at the game against Pittsburgh, and that's continued. They don't make contact. They're trying still hit home runs or nothing. They don't advance runners. They don't hit the ball on the other side, to beat the shift. They're still hitting to the shift. Insanity, deficit insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. This team is insane. Right, John?
Yes, it is insane. But you know what? I think this speaks to a bigger problem, not only for the Mets, but with baseball. I mean, this is how everybody's been taught in the last generation to forget about making contact. Contact hitters don't get paid. It's about launch angle, and it's about process. And we're seeing a manifestation of that a generation later. And I think when it comes to the Mets, I mean, you can talk about what Pete Alonso said today all you want. And I get why people are upset with what he said. But also go back, and this goes up the food chain. Go back to what Luis Rojas said a couple of days ago, where he said, I don't want the team to worry about the standings because it's unhealthy. I just want them to worry about that day's game and do what they do and have fun. And listen, I understand that you want your players to be present and in the moment and not worried about things that aren't in their control. But, the other thing is athletes are competitive. That's their nature. And when you say don't look at the standings, I think that takes away a little bit of the competitiveness out of the athlete. Now, because when you're all worried about process, and you're not worried about results, then sometimes you don't get the results. And when you don't get the results, then your process is flawed. And I think that's the disconnect with Luis Rojas and the people above him, that the process is flawed because they're not getting the results. They have to worry about the results at some point.
It's also interesting because you made a point about the home run or nothing. And, I posted the fact about, the difference between Chili Davis, after he was fired and where they are now. And, someone wrote, and I said, at least when Chili Davis was here, there was an effort when runners were in scoring position to hit to the opposite field, take what was given with you, go with the pitch, and drive the run in, not so much about the home run. Someone commented on Facebook, chicks love the long ball. And then I said, and kind of facetiously, I wrote, listen, I bet you Rod Carew got just as many chicks as Boog Powell did, and Rod Carew only had 95 home runs. And then he wrote doubtful, but then I remembered a quote from Rod Carew, and I actually found it from the newspaper, and this was Rod Carew's quote. "I don't envy home run hitters," said Carew, a line drive expert. "I can do so much more with a bat than Reggie Jackson, Dave Kingman can, than Harmon Killebrew could. I get a kick out of watching a team defense me. A player moves 2 steps in one direction, I hit it 2 steps the other way." I mean, that's what's lost in the game these days.
It's absolutely lost. And again, it's how these new age teachers are teaching these players. You're seeing it a generation later. Guys in high school and college aren't even listening to their hitting coaches for the teams they play with. They're going to these outside swing coaches because Aaron Judge did it, and now that's set off a whole array of people that are doing it. And also too, I mean, you look at and you look at what's going on with Quattlebaum again. Chili Davis didn't have a chance. He didn't get bad results before he got fired because they already had it in their minds that they wanted an analytics guy at the helm as their hitting coach. And that's the part. Chili was done before he even started. They had always wanted Quattlebaum in there. But now, listen, when the season is over, when you look at the total body of work that Quattlebaum has had, I think the Mets are going to have to look long and hard and say, is this the way we want to teach our hitters?
John, here's another thing that's also concerning to me, and you started some of that. Has Rojas lost the team? He had a meeting with them a couple of days ago and said, sit on the fastball. You're letting the fastball go by. And they're not doing it. They're still sitting, they're still not sitting on the fastball, hitting the ball that comes to them. They're taking the pitches they should swing at and swinging at the pitches they shouldn't. Is that a dangerous sign that he's lost the team going forward? If he's saying things like we should more about the standings, and he tells them how to do something on hitting and an approach, and they don't follow it.
I think it could be. I mean, it's not usual that the manager is all of a sudden giving hitting advice. I mean, it should have been it should have been a message that came down from the hitting coach. And I thought it was yesterday during yesterday's post game news conference that it was the first time that somebody asked Luis Rojas about job security. Right. And they always say where there's smoke, there's fire. So now you start to wonder, is this the time perhaps to try to ignite a spark in this team and change managers? And I'm not usually a proponent of changing managers in the middle of the season, because usually when that comes up, the team is really slumping. But this team still has a chance to win. Maybe if they have lost the clubhouse and somebody can figure that out, then maybe it is time to try it. It's now or never.
So that on top of the heels, that question yesterday, followed by today, pregame in the locker room, a visit from the owner. Okay, so that also, you're right, where there's smoke,
at an away game.
At an away game. Right. So, and who has been somewhat, more active over the last couple of days on social media as well about, the lackluster performance of this team. So, and today really, in some respects, listen, everyone and all their announcers can alibi. Listen, it's only 2.5 games. There's plenty of time to be made up. Today was a must win.
It's 2.5 games with an anchor.
And third place and the second toughest,
right.
After losing 3 to the Phillies and 3 or 4 to the Marlins.
And look what happened the other side of town, meanwhile.
All right, we'll speak to you next week. John Coppinger heard here each and every week on Sports Talk New York. We'll take a quick break, and on the other side, Dominic Moore, so keep it tuned right.
Cohen & DePrisco, LLP, is pleased to introduce their website, policeofficersrighttosue.com, as an educational and informative site designed to instruct members of the law enforcement community of their civil rights in line-of-duty accidents. Many law enforcement members are not aware of their rights to sue and fail to bring lawsuits within a specific time frame, thereby forfeiting their ability to seek rightful compensation against those parties that cause officers to be injured. PoliceofficersRightToSue.com provides successful past results of line-of-duty lawsuits. These examples range from officers being provided with inadequate equipment, RMP accidents, slip and falls, and station house mishaps. If any law enforcement member has a question regarding a potential lawsuit, they can contact DCD at policeofficersrighttosue.com or at 1-800-901-1LAW. That's policeofficersrighttosue.com or 1-800-901-1LAW.
And welcome back to 365sportscast.com, Sports Talk New York this Sunday night. Joining us now is a man who was the 95th overall pick of the New York Rangers in the 2000 NHL entry draft. He played close to 900 games in the NHL for the New York Rangers, Pittsburgh Penguins, Minnesota Wild, Toronto Maple Leafs, Buffalo Sabres, Florida Panthers, Montreal Canadiens, Tampa Bay Lightning, San Jose Sharks, and Boston Bruins. He won the Bill Masterson Trophy in the 2013-14 season. The trophy is awarded annually to the National Hockey League player who best exemplifies the qualities of perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to ice hockey. That season, his goal in Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Final was the only goal scored in that game. It set the Rangers to the Stanley Cup Finals. He's currently an analyst for ESPN. He is also the founder and host of Smash Fest, a charity ping pong tournament benefiting the Katie Moore Foundation and the Steve Moore Foundation, which takes place this Thursday in Connecticut. It is always a thrill to welcome him back here to Sports Talk New York, the one and only Dominic Moore. Welcome, Dominic. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Always our pleasure. You know that, and I always look forward to Smash Fest even more. I don't have to get on a plane this year to go see it, so that's great. And before we talk about one of my favorite charity events of the year, let's talk a little bit about your career. You were kind enough to be part of Howie Carpenter in my book, You Never Forget Your First, a collection of New York Rangers first, and shared some great stories, one of which was how you met your childhood idol, Doug Gilmour. Can you share that story with our listeners?
Yeah, well, it's amazing how it happened. I grew up in Toronto, and I went to a school downtown where we had a rink, as part of the school grounds, and we had the Leafs that would come there every once in a while. Usually when they had events at Maple Leaf Gardens, this was before it was the Scotiabank Arena, and so sometimes we'd have the Leafs in there. This particular case, it was the lockout year, and some of the players were skating. And it was 94, 95 lockout, I think, was the year that it was. So I had gotten wind that Dougie Gilmour was skating in there. And so between classes, I just sauntered over there, and here I am in my little school uniform. And I go into this dressing room, and there's a huge scrum of media talking to Gilmour. And I just kind of sit there in the back, and I'm tiny. I'm in 9th grade. I'm just a little shrimp of a human. And lo and behold, one of the media members was this guy, Jim McKenney, who was a former Maple Leaf himself, who had worked for a channel called City TV. And he would do kind of a community thing every week where he would name an athlete of the week. And when I was playing, minor peewee hockey or whatever it was, he had picked me for the athlete of the week a few weeks before. And so he knew I was obsessed with Doug Gilmour. And so when the media scrum ended, he was gracious enough to bring me over and introduce me to Doug. And it was literally like meeting Jesus in the flesh. It was just like unbelievable for me. At that time in my life, I completely idolized Doug Gilmour, and Doug was nice enough to give me a stick. That stick is still on my wall in my parents' house in Thornhill, Ontario, and he signed it. And so it was an extremely memorable day.
That's so cool. I remember you telling me how you ran to your garage and got like the 4-inch nails and put it up on your wall.
Exactly.
So you played 2 seasons in the Ontario Junior Hockey League for the Aurora Tigers. Your coach in your first year was former NHL defenseman Brad Selwood, who a few years earlier had coached your brother Steve when he played for the Thornwood Islanders. How much did that connection help you through that first season?
Brad Selwood, one of the best coaches I ever played for at any level. He just was a guy that was just so in tune with the players, cared about them first and foremost as people. And he always let that shine through first, as much as he wanted to win games and have a successful team, which he inevitably did. He was a very successful junior coach for a very, very long time. But I think it always started with his priority, which was he cared about his guys. And he had been there as a player and was coaching for a reason. He wanted to make a positive impact on these players. And I was very fortunate to play for him. And again, those junior years, the ones before you get, recruited to college, they're so, so crucial for your development, so crucial for your future. And I was in good hands with Brad Selwood.
So after that, you move on to play for the Harvard Crimson team in the NCAA's ECAC Hockey Conference, along with your two brothers, Mark and Steve. 99-2000 season, you joined both your older brothers, marking the first brother trio in school history to play at the same time. What's that experience like for you, being able to play at that level with your brothers?
Yeah, well, I'll start with what the experience was like for my parents. So having driven us around Ontario, hundreds and hundreds of miles for tournaments and all over the place, 3 separate games sometimes at the same time, and for many, many years, for them to be able to watch one game and see all of their sons play at the same time, I think was a pretty special year for them. For me, as the youngest of the 3 and the freshman, it certainly helped having them sort of, paved the way for me. It just seemed like I was a little bit more familiar with things because I'd gone to watch them play at various times, and certainly helped to have mentors and people that you were close to look up to and guide you in a very formative time. So very special year, no doubt, to say the least.
Yeah, Bob Crocker is a name a lot of NHL fans may not know, but he had a huge impact in getting you picked by the New York Rangers in the draft. What do you recall about draft day and Bob's impact?
So I'm really happy you brought up Bob Crocker because he's one of my favorite people, and you're talking about the trajectory of my career. And I remember Bob coming to meet with me before I got drafted. I sat down with him. The interviews with the players are so important. They want to get to know you. And I remember it was, midway through the 3rd round or whatever it was. And I was sitting there at the draft, and I can vividly remember looking down at the draft tables on the floor in Calgary, and the Rangers were up, and you could see kind of the gesturing at the table, and I could see someone look over to Bob Crocker, and Bob kind of he gestured, and you could see him pointing at his head and with his finger. And I think in my view, he was saying, I'm a smart player, and he was kind of putting his 2 cents in for what it's worth to have them pick me. And sure enough, they announced my name right after that. So I would never have been picked by the Rangers if it wasn't for Bob Crocker. And again, you talk about Brad Selwood and the kind of person he was. That's the kind of person that Bob Crocker was. So really glad you brought him up to recognize him.
If you just tuned in, we're talking to Dominic Moore on Sports Talk New York. My favorite story, I think, that you related to me for that book was about your first Rangers training camp. And you told me that you think you might have thrown your best check ever at that training camp. Can you tell our audience?
I don't think I do. I know I do.
Can you tell our audience who that check was on? That
was easily the best body check of my career, hands down. Before my career even really started. Yeah, I was a fresh-faced attendee at training camp, still in college, and we were playing the scrimmage, and I got the puck. I had the puck on my stick going across the offensive blue line, and I cut across the middle. And the Don Cherries of the world always say, "Don't do that." And I had my head down, cutting across the middle. The Scott Stevens trolley tracks. But I was aware. I knew what was around me, and I saw someone lining me up to finish me off. And so as I saw them coming, I kind of let them think that, they had me unsuspecting. And at the last minute, I kind of gave them a reverse shoulder, and the player went flying like nothing I'd seen before, like feet overhead, flat on their back in a heap. And sure enough, it was Messier. And sure enough, within 5 seconds of that, Chris Simon and Matthew Barnaby and I think one other renowned goon rushed me, and all 3 of them piled on top of me. I looked over, and Glenn Sather was on the ice. He was actually officiating the scrimmage, and he was laughing, and it was just the whole scene. And I think even one of those 3 goons was actually on my team in the scrimmage. So I think the best part about it was that after the scrimmage, we're in the gym, and Mess is there, and he came over, and I said, "Look, I had no idea it was you, and I apologized." And I said, obviously, I was not intending to throw a hit like that on him, and he knew, and he was completely understanding of the whole situation. Could not have been more gracious to me, fresh-faced rookie. So that, again, speaks to the kind of leader that he was.
So your first game at MSG is interesting because it's where the photo for one of your hockey cards come from, and it's an epic hockey card. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? And can you tell us a little, pardon the pun, more about that?
I think you're talking about my second career game was against Colorado, and and another game where my parents could watch two of their sons play at the same time. So my brother was playing for the Avs at the time, and I played my first career game in Montreal against the Habs, and then we came home to MSG and played the Avs. So that was a very special night to be realizing your dream to play in the NHL on Madison Square Garden ice for the first time, and to have it be against your brother who was living out his dream for a stacked Avalanche team. It was truly special. And the card you're talking about is actually hilarious. The younger brothers are known to be a little bit feistier, right? Because they're trying to keep up, with their whole childhood. So there's a picture of me kind of shoving my brother from behind into the boards, which is it's a great shot.
Yeah, it ends up to be your hockey card. It's awesome. One of the special moments you get to experience as a Ranger was a stadium series at Yankee Stadium. And I remember sitting in the press box, looking down and seeing you with a glove on the field, having a catch. Why was that important to you to seize that moment and to go out on the field to have that catch?
Listen, like those games, the stadium series and those unique events, like they're among the most memorable games that you play as a player. Obviously, the playoff games that you play and the meaningful game sevens and conference finals and things like that are ones that stand out. But, when you're talking about regular season games and games you look back on with fondness, it's those unique experiences. And playing at a historic, place filled with ghosts and traditions like Yankee Stadium was really special. And I just wanted to embrace that moment. So, Billy Southard, longtime Ranger equipment manager, was nice enough to play catch with me out in front of the dugout. And, there was a bit of a delay to that game. I don't know if you remember, because of the glare and it was dangerous for the goalies, but we just enjoyed it. Just throwing the baseball around and embracing the ballpark vibes. And it translated into the game, a memorable game. And just enjoyed every minute of those two games that we played. Fortunately, we won both, which was nice.
Yeah, while you were taking advantage of the delay to have a catch, Henrik was falling asleep and they had to wake him up when it was time to play the game. One of the things that players do prior to a game is ping pong, and you've taken that to a whole new level. Smash Fest enters its 9th year. It brings NHL players and guests together for a night of ping pong and fun in support of rare cancer and concussion research. This year's event will feature NHL players such as Adam Fox, Chris Kreider, Charlie McAvoy, Colin Blackwell, Martin St. Louis, Patrick Sharp, Mike Richter, Brian Boyle, and lots more. Tell us how this all started and how, even if people aren't attending, how they can help.
Yeah, thanks. So, I mean, it's funny. Like, ping pong has always been a part of locker room culture. There's always a table in almost every team dressing room in the league, and guys love to play. And it's no different for me. When I was a rookie in New York, Michael Nylander was my ping pong rival. We would play for hours before and after practice. And lo and behold, actually, my last year in the league with Toronto, my ping pong rival was William Nylander, his son. So, but guys love it. And, I always thought it would make for a great charity event. And so what we do is we just bring players together and we bring fans to the venue, and everyone, it's a ping pong themed party essentially, with all the proceeds going to concussion and rare cancer research. And, it's funny, people have never been, they almost can't believe it once they've gone. They can't fathom that they're rubbing shoulders with, the players that they've watched. I mean, they pay top dollar to go to a game and see the players on the ice and see them do what they do best. But to be able to, put a shoulder to shoulder at the ping pong table, or just to take a selfie. It's a one-of-a-kind event, and until you experience it, as it's hard to explain to people. So we're bringing it to Stamford, Connecticut for the first time with all of the names that you mentioned, and it's going to be an incredible night.
So, Dominic, this is AJ Carter. I've listened to your conversation, Mark, and talking all the things on ping pong. How different is a Pro-Am ping pong event compared to a Pro-Am golf event?
Well, that's the thing, right? There's nothing against the golf events, but you're with a certain foursome for the whole night, and with the ping pong that we do at Smash Fest, it's just one big room, and everybody's in the same room, and so you get a chance to go and say hi to Kreider 1 minute, and the next minute you're able to go and take a selfie with Fox and ask him, what he had for dinner, and just it's a very interactive. Everyone's on a level playing field, and what's not to love about ping pong? Everybody can play, and no matter what level you're at, it's fun. The event is, open bar. We've got catered buffet. It's, again, and everyone leaves feeling even better about it with a smile on their face when they know that they've supported good causes.
Absolutely. Dominic, I cannot wait to see you Thursday night. I was upset last year. There was nothing, because of COVID, and the fact that this year it's right here in our backyard. Mike Capisse, our board op, and I are going to be there and look forward to it. Thanks so much for your time tonight and throughout the years as well. Thanks more importantly for all the amazing work you do with your charities.
Well, thanks. You guys have been tremendous supporters of what we do for a long time, and so I'm excited to see you on Thursday night as well. So thanks for having me.
You got it. I will definitely see you there Thursday. Dominic Moore, former NHL player, current analyst for ESPN, and the founder of Smash Fest. We'll be back on the other side with another participant in Smash Fest, Brian Boyle, right after these messages.
The Phoenix Tube Company Incorporated is among the country's leading manufacturers of structural ornamental stainless steel tubing, rectangles, squares, and processed flat bars. The company takes pride in its everyday commitment to quality and customer service. The philosophy of the company has been and continues to be to support the growth of the stainless tube market through distribution and service centers throughout the country. Ornamental and structural stainless steel tubing is used for a wide variety of aesthetic and mechanical products where superior finish and corrosion resistance are required. Some products manufactured include tubing for mirror bracket arms, boat rails and ladders, washroom grab bars, swimming pool rail products, medical equipment, automotive step bars and trimming, as well as structural framing for food processing equipment. For a quote or for more information on how the Phoenix Tube Company can meet your ornamental and structural stainless steel tubing needs, visit them on the web at phoenixtube.com or call them toll-free at 1-800-526-2124.
If you're a company looking to increase your visibility, to make sure your promotional materials get packaged in the most attractive way and distributed most efficiently, then you need to call in PIMS. Whether you're launching a new product and need to assemble customized influencer packages or looking for a more efficient way to manage your inventory and collateral, PIMS involvement helps maximize the impact of your brand's performance. For more than 30 years, PIMS has been helping companies get their message out to the right people, offering personalized distribution services and full-scale inventory management solutions. PIMS works its magic on 3 continents, backed by 350,000 square feet of warehouse space. If you're looking for experience, PIMS is it. They've shipped more than 13 million packages and elevated more than 8,000 brands. Want to know more? Check them out on the web, PIMSinc.com. That's PIMSinc.com, and read testimonials from their satisfied clients. That's PIMS, the first name in marketing support.
And welcome back to 365 Sportscast, Sports Talk New York. Mark Roseman, AJ Carter with you this Sunday evening. If you just tuned in, you just missed a great 15, 20 minutes with Dominic Moore, some great stories. And, It's not too late. Definitely go out, look at the website, SmashFest, get your tickets. And we're going to talk a little more about it because joining us now is the man who was drafted in the first round, 26th overall by the Los Angeles Kings in the 2003 NHL draft. He played 4 seasons at Boston College before making his NHL debut with the Kings against the New Jersey Devils on February 2nd, 2008. He scored his first NHL goal that same night against Martin Brodeur in a 6-3 loss. He scored 4 goals in his first 7 NHL games, 3 in his first 4 as well. He also has played with the New York Rangers, Tampa Bay Lightning, Toronto Maple Leafs, New Jersey Devils, Nashville Predators, and Florida Panthers, as well as a member of the bronze medal winning 2021 United States men's national ice hockey team. Like our former guest, Dominic Moore, he's also a winner of the Bill Masterson Memorial Trophy, as he truly exemplifies the qualities of perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to ice hockey. It is a thrill to welcome back the man whose locker I think I stop more by at the end of every game than more than anybody else, with maybe the exception of Henrik Lundqvist, the one and only Brian Boyle to Sports Talk New York. Welcome, Boiler. How you doing?
Wow, I'm great. I'm just getting back from a dear friend of mine's wedding. We landed today, so pardon my voice. We had some fun. Last night, the night before, but I'm doing very well. Thanks.
Nice. Well, first and foremost, how's Declan doing?
He's doing good. Thanks. He's kind of wondering why. So I just walked in the house like 10 minutes ago. I gave him a hug and a cowboy hat because I was in Wyoming, and I said, all right, I'll be out in a few minutes, buddy. So he's kind of banging on the door, but he's great.
All right.
Doing awesome.
I don't want to keep you from Declan, so we'll get going on this. You're currently a free agent, and your goal is to play in the NHL this coming season, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
So I know from talking to you over the years that days you were scratched and watched the game from the press box, you would always tell me you learned 2 things. First thing you learned was that you hate sitting in the press box and hate being a healthy scratch. The second is that you always learn something from watching the game at a different vantage point than ice level. So I'm assuming you got an opportunity to watch a lot of hockey, until you had to start preparing for the U.S. national team. What are some of the things you've noticed about the game from watching it this season?
Well, I mean, there's nothing like getting reps, but when you can have those reps in terms of practicing and playing games and playing against that competition, and then you can have an opportunity to see it again from a different, vantage point. Like, so preseason's an awesome example where, not everybody plays every game, right? And so certain games you're in the building, but you're watching from a very high level in the press box. Stuff like that. It's really something that I think is a benefit. Now, for me, not playing for a while it's hard. So you have to kind of either remind yourself that you're not playing that competition. You're not doing, the same day in and day out that these other guys are doing, and also try and take advantage of it, let your body heal and get stronger. And that's kind of what I thought I did this year with just training and skating and watching, and training and skating and watching. What I noticed was, this year was tough because it was a pandemic. There's not a ton of time to teach and coach and practice, and there's a flat cap, so you need a lot of young entry-level players. You need to implement them in fast with mostly just video, and it's hard. So I thought, the first half of the year looked a little bit sloppy across the league in certain instances. And I also thought that veteran players who had played long enough could exploit some of the guys that are younger and newer to the league. And you saw that with guys like, I think, Sid had a great year, Joe Pavelski had a great year. That was some of the things that I saw personally. And, I was more of a fan of the game at that point. It was a lot of fun.
It's interesting.
But I was also angry that I wasn't playing.
Okay. So it's interesting because if you take a look at the landscape of the free agent centers that are your age, so you have Ryan Getzlaf, who signed a $4.5 million deal, Nate Thompson, $800,000, Joe Thornton, David Backes, Valley Fibula, and Travis Zajac and Eric Stahl. Most likely you're going to get signed somewhere as well. How confident are you that you'll be able to get something done and in a camp prior to the season start?
How confident am I in that happening? I don't know. I'm not as confident as probably those guys are, to be honest with you. That's not to say I'm not confident in what I can do. It's just with the way things went last year, and even the year before that, I had 18 goals coming out of Nashville, and it was hard for me to get a deal. So it was tough. It was really hard. But I just try to control what I can. So I'm hoping, I'm hoping that there's a team that believes in me, that wants me to try and help, and I just want to be a part of having a chance to be on a team that fights and tries to get into the playoffs. So you win a Stanley Cup. I mean, that's why I trained for a full year. It's not really any other reason than that.
I find that so. You mentioned the 18 goals. We're an all-star in 2018. And on top of that, the intangibles that you bring as far as leadership qualities, and there's so many of your ex-coaches that are at different places. They've moved on. AV is in Philadelphia. There's so many at different places and different systems where you would think they would go and bring you in. So I'm highly confident that you will be back. We mentioned in the open about the bronze medal you won with the 2021 United States men's national ice hockey team. It had a big Massachusetts flavor to it as well. You, former Ranger Colin Blackwell, current Ranger Kevin Rooney, Ryan Donato, the number 2 selection this year's draft, a guy from your own hometown, 18-year-old Marty Beniers. What was that experience like for you?
That was awesome. That was just being on a team again, getting to play. And, yeah, I mean, when I look back at it, it's just I have such great memories. I was so happy to do it. I was so happy I was able to go. And if you think about it, like, it was brutal trying to get there. And we woke up at like 4 a.m. and it's dark. We got to fly, all the way over there, and you get locked down. You're in complete isolation for 2 days. And I was just so excited to be on a team. It was so much fun. We finally got to practice. We didn't get to go anywhere the whole tournament. You go to the rink, you come back, you eat as a team, you go. But we got to know each other because we didn't really go anywhere else. We didn't have the families come, which was kind of brutal. But it was also kind of awesome because these different guys, from the kid who hasn't even been drafted yet to the guy that didn't play because he's 36 and he didn't have a deal that year, and then everything in between, hanging out in the room, watching golf, watching the actual tournament games when they started, watching other teams play that we were going to play against, watching movies, showing some of the younger guys some really good movies that they had no idea existed, teaching them card games. It was awesome. And coming together as a team, the best part, coming together, watching every guy pull on the same rope, sacrificing their bodies in a tournament with no fans in the crowd for their country. It was a really special thing to be a part of.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because you can tell the love for the game that comes through in your voice, and also the leadership quality. You're talking about every guy pulling the rope the same way. So your former teammate with the Rangers, Dan Girardi, is currently a developmental coach for the Sabres. The captain of your first Ranger team, Chris Drury, is a general manager of the team. Your first Ranger coach is now an analyst on ESPN. If for some reason you don't sign with an NHL team to play, can you see yourself in a different role involved in hockey at the professional level?
I think that would be something I would love to do. I try not to think about it too much because I honestly don't know what it would be. But, I mean, in the summer we have a number of pro guys that we train with and we skate with, and when we get on the ice, it's becoming more Kevin Hayes kind of running the practices, but I still try to help running the practices and doing things that I think, depending on what time it is in the summer, will help guys. And I think I played every position at one point or another in the league, and I love talking about the game. So I mean, I think whatever kind of opportunity would come up, I'd explore it because I want to stay in the game for sure. And I think if it's developing kids, or if it's talking about the game, or if it's whatever it is, I would, I'm gonna do that anyway. I have a little boy who plays. All my friends and family love talking about hockey and watching it. So when I'm done in 3 or 4 years, when I'm done, that's going to be something I'm going to do anyway, so I might as well get paid for it. That'd be great.
So this Thursday night, you're taking part in Smash Fest, which brings NHL players, guests together for a night of ping pong and fun in support of rare cancer and concussion research. This event will feature NHL players such as Adam Fox, Chris Kreider, Charlie McAvoy, Colin Blackwell, Martin St. Louis, Patrick Sharp, Mike Richter, and others. Obviously, the cancer part of it is something that's very important to you as well. How did you get involved, and what does being part of Smash Fest mean to you?
Well, Dom did ask me years ago when he did it in Toronto the first time, and I can't even. I'm going to get married. I don't know what happened. I forget whatever. I could not go up there. I couldn't make it. And then I don't know if that was why he didn't invite me back for a couple of years, but then he just reached out again and listen, like everybody has been affected by it in some way. And obviously there's a big story that comes up with it with me just because of how it all kind of went down and training camp and what I did for a living, what I do for a living. It's a story. But you know what? The rare disease thing to me, like my son has had an ailment that he's one of one that had it. I mean, lots of people have had AVMs, unfortunately, but no one's had it where he's had it and has had it how it's kind of reacted to him. Like the way he had this disease is he's one of one as far as every doctor could tell. So, I'm the product of a lot of funding and research and development and money and people trying to make the world a better place, because now I get to take medicine that has very, very minimal side effects and has brought me back to a pretty much normal life without a major surgery or a grueling bout with chemo or radiation. It's that type of thing that, I'm a living example of what people's generosity and determination with whether it's their time, like with Dom and all his organization, or their money with the generous people that raise money that you see at all these events. It really is an awesome, awesome thing to just be in the room and be a part of, because it's people doing good and you have fun when you're doing it too, because I mean, there's no better gift when you get to see somebody benefit from something that you gave to them. You know what I mean? It sounds like it's counterintuitive, but people feel better after they give. I know it. And it's just great to be a part of something like that.
So excellently put. And I have to tell you, one of the things I'm looking forward most for Thursday night is getting a chance to see you again. Loved your time in here in New York, as I knew I always could count on you for an honest answer to any question I ever asked you. And to this day, when people ask me over the 20 years you've been doing this, who's the best, guy that you've run into, and there's five that I always point to. It's you, Henrik Lundqvist, Jaromir Jagr, Curtis Granderson, and David Wright. And I've been consistent with that when anyone asks me that, and it's the truth. So I really, thanks so much for your time tonight, especially coming home. I don't want to keep you from Declan. I want you to go have fun. I'll see you Thursday, and hopefully, maybe some way, somehow, you'll be back as a New York Ranger.
Well, I'll tell you, that'll be something. I really appreciate it. I really do. Those are some kind words, but I hope I deserve them. But I'll see you Thursday, and appreciate you always looking out for me.
You got it, Brian. Be good. Brian Boyle, like I said, former New York Ranger, maybe, hopefully, future New York Ranger. We're gonna just I'll do the read while Mike gets him on the phone. AJ, this is your favorite show of ever. I mean, it's just hockey and more hockey.
In August. Hey, we're getting we have a really good Sunday paper, so if you don't care about the hockey, stay tuned. It's worth waiting for.
So, all right. It's time now for the NHL Report with Russ Cohn, manager Russ Cohn, by the way, sponsored by our friends.
Until his power is usurped by one of the players on the team.
It's sponsored by Soho Table Hockey. What's table hockey, you say? Some of us might have grown up with rod hockey or bubble hockey or even air hockey table. Soho Table Hockey has embraced the nostalgia of those old tabletop games, designed a whole new board for the future, handcrafted with designer wood, state-of-the-art playing surface, unbendable rods, energy-absorbing walls. This is a table hockey game that ages 8 through 80 can enjoy. Even better, the exceptional quality design allows the game to stand up to the intensity of tournaments, which is why Soho Table Hockey is the #1 choice of championship players throughout North America. Visit SohoTableHockey.com to learn more and start your order on a custom game. You can choose your wood, a center ice logo, and even the team matchups. Go ahead, drop the puck. You'll love Soho Table Hockey so much you won't be able to stop playing. And it's time to bring in the manager, Russ Cohn. How you doing, Russ?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good. All right. So a couple of things here. Bottom line is, you take a look at some of the moves here. The Islanders are quietly going about their business. No flash, like you said with Lou, it looks like everything's going to get done. It looks like they're going to retain all their guys, including Casey Cizikas, and they're going to get Anders Lee back. What has this offseason meant to the Islanders, and will they be able to take that next step without adding an external piece?
It's a good question. I mean, they have guys like Wallstrom and Dobson, and so you hope that those guys can make a difference. You would think Lee coming back would be a big difference. You never know from year to year, but I think keeping their group together was the smartest move for them. So I do think it's a big deal. I think camaraderie-wise and just from a chemistry standpoint, it's a big deal. So Sorokin and Varlamov, maybe they'll split for a little while, and it'll be Varlamov's job to lose again. But that's probably good right now too. I think it's all going to be very competitive on the team, and I think because the division is going to be interesting, I think they do have a chance to win it.
They're starting in their new arena. What, in November was it? They've played a number of games on the road. Is this enough of a splash for them going into the new arena, or they don't need it anyway because they're selling out pretty well right now?
No, I think they're going to sell out regardless, so I don't think they need a big splash. I think, honestly, their play does the talking for them. They have enough players. I think even Beauvillier is turning into a better player than most thought he would be. He's sort of hit that next level. So I think what they have is enough, especially if Palmieri does come back with all those contracts that Lou has in the drawer.
So we all know that the Islanders have made the last 2 years deep runs into the playoffs, but we also know that in those 2 years they have went through spots where they just couldn't find ways to win games. Do you see this happening again this season? And in a full season, can you see them missing the playoffs in this kind of scenario?
No, I don't see them missing the playoffs. They could have, maybe some issues out of the gate because they are going to have to play so many road games. It's not the easiest thing to do. And maybe they'll miss Levy for a little while, his offense. Maybe Pulak is going to have to really make up the slack there. But no, ultimately, I think the way they play, the consistency they have, they'll be fine.
And have the Carolina Hurricanes now out past the Tampa Bay Lightning as New York Ranger fans' second favorite team, seeing that they now have more members of the 2015 Stanley Cup Finals Ranger team than the Rangers actually do.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I guess Brendan Moore, likes those type of players because they're all kind of gritty, hard-nosed, will play a lot of minutes, will do anything to win kind of guys, even though they didn't win. But I do think that that's, an element that Brendan Moore likes. I don't know if Ranger fans are all of a sudden going to start rooting for the Carolina Hurricanes. I doubt it.
All right. The manager of the Brooklyn Americans, Russ Cohn, are here each and every week with the NHL Report. It's now time for the theme song. There it is. Sunday Papers. AJ, what do you got for us?
Well, this is one last time Olympics for another 4 years in the Summer Olympics. But remember the movie Young Frankenstein?
Yes.
And do you remember Cloris Leachman as the character Frau Blucher?
Yes.
And of course, every time I mention her name, she scared horses.
Yes.
Well, we have Frau Blucher in the form of a sumo wrestler made the Olympics this year. There were some complaints that there was a statue of a sumo wrestler at one particular turn in the equestrian, the course, or whatever they call it there. And riders were complaining because the horses first thing come to this turn, see the backside of the sumo wrestler, which is a horrible thought, this thing, and it was scaring the horses.
Amazing. Well,
and they actually moved the statue and replaced it with flowers because the riders, including a team jumping gold medalist from 2016, who said that it was throwing the horse off, and they had to move it because if you take a look, I would look at the statue of the sumo wrestler. It is pretty ugly to begin with. But, we had Frau Blucher in the form of a sumo wrestler made for the Olympics this year, which, of course, we don't know there's another famous or daughter of a famous person who actually won a silver in the equestrian at the Olympics.
Which is also interesting because Bruce Springsteen, I don't know if you remember the movie with, who was it? He was in Prince of Greenwich Village later, Mickey Rourke.
Mickey Rourke, yeah.
Was in the movie The Wrestler.
Yes.
And The Wrestler, the theme song to that movie is a Bruce Springsteen song which starts off with the lyrics, "Have you ever seen a one-trick pony in the field, so happy and free?" And now you've got the wrestler and the
one-trick pony.
So there you go. So that's interesting. Comes full circle.
Yes. Your choice: sumo wrestlers or Frau Blucher.
Okay, it's now poor Chaim, like if he just tuned in, is like wondering what's going on. It's time now for the NBA report with Chaim Tauber. So I don't know, AJ, where would you rather start? Would you rather start with the Olympics and Kevin Durant, or do you want to go with Kemba Walker?
Let's start with Knicks and Kemba Walker, and Kemba Walker as the final piece of what seems like a pretty interesting puzzle the Knicks have put together. Chaim, what do you make not just of the Kemba Walker signing, but Evan Fournier and re-signing all of the other pieces for the bench for next year?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, I don't know if this is a final piece. Let's start there. The rebuild is not going to be over. This is not a championship team, not with Kemba Walker, not with Evan Fournier. There's still a lot to do. However, they got Kemba Walker pretty cheap, all things considered. Something of a hometown discount for the Bronx kid coming back home. And Kemba Walker is somebody who the Knicks fans have been coveting for years. However, coming off the knee surgery, he's been somewhat devalued. He's more on the bargain bin side, which made him kind of available. You don't have to mortgage the farm like you would for a Damian Lillard. You don't have to give up RJ Barrett 3 firsts, and whatever equity you've been building towards the future isn't required to get a Kemba Walker. So to have a point guard who can create, who can slash, who can shoot, who can be that who could be that crunch time scorer, to lock down Julius Randle on a hometown discount for the next several years, to have RJ Barrett seemingly coming into his own, it's a really optimistic time for Knicks fans because they are something of it. Now, the entire East has gotten better. I don't think this catapults them at the upper echelon. I do think that injuries played a big part in the Knicks' run last year to the rest of the Eastern Conference. Atlanta Hawks are absolutely for real. The Bucks are the defending champs. You let Brooklyn get healthy, I still think they're unstoppable. That being said, Kemba Walker is a really nice addition. Evan Fournier is definitely an upgrade over Reggie Bullock. And now it's just a matter of seeing how the kids develop, seeing what if Obi Toppin can contribute anything, seeing what this year's draft class, Quentin Grimes and all those guys can contribute.
So it looks like it'll be an interesting year for Knicks, an interesting team to watch, even though it's a tougher Eastern Conference. Yeah. Let's turn now to the Brooklyn team and Kevin Durant. You talk about pieces of the puzzle falling in place. Is the Kevin Durant signing the first of maybe 3 extensions for the other 2 to keep the big 3 in Brooklyn for a number of years?
So it's very possible. I'm not sure what the deal is with Kyrie Irving, to be frank. When they first came here with Kevin Durant, it was a package deal. You get Kyrie, you get Kevin Durant. And a lot of people, when we were discussing the possibility of those 2 coming to the Knicks, I had said, don't love the idea of Kyrie Irving, but if it means Kevin Durant, yeah, I'll take it. Now it doesn't look like they're necessarily a package deal anymore. I don't know that Kyrie Irving, given his proclivity for not necessarily playing all the time, given all the headaches that come with him, I don't know that he's a guaranteed re-sign. That's something that the team has a little time to kind of kick the wheels on to see how things go. And Kyrie can also determine what he really wants to do with things. But I do think they are absolutely, this is their championship core. This is the team. They've mortgaged everything. Head coach, GM, everything they did developmentally to get this run and this core to go. So, yeah, they're going to do what they can to lock them up and keep them together for the time being and try to turn that into as many rings as they can.
All right, Chaim Tauber heard here each and every week with the NBA Report. We're going to take a quick break on the other side. We'll round it out with the NFL Report, so keep it tuned right here.
Do you own a business? When is the last time you actually had a visit from or even spoke with your insurance representative? Did your current insurance agency sell to another firm or maybe merge, leaving you without the attention you deserve? Prince Associates is a provider of commercial insurance nationwide and represents some of the finest insurance carriers in the industry. Prince Associates has been representing commercial clients since 1965, and we continue to grow and offer our personal services in a competitive and ever-changing market. If you want back the insurance relationship you deserve, reach out to us, 516-822-6550. That's area code 516-822-6550. And ask for Leith or Craig, or find us on the web at www.princeins.com.
And welcome back to Sports Talk New York on the 365 Sportscast Network. It's time now for the Capco NFL Report with Jay Retcher. It's summer, so you want to get those windows and doors ready to let the fresh air in and the bugs out with the Clearview retractable screen. The Clearview retractable screen system comes standard with a lifetime warranty, the patented speed reducer, so it will not snap back. Get the luxury of a screen door and a sleek, low-profile design without the hassle of a bulky storm door or sliding screen door. Call 631-440-1100 for a free estimate. That's 631-440-1100, or visit them on the web at clearviewlongisland.com. All right, Jay, one thing that was not allowing the bugs in or out, and I guess he could have used a Clearview retractable screen, was Zach Wilson. 11 for 24, 112 yards, 2 interceptions. I had 7 drives, which led to 3 points, 2 interceptions, 4 punts. Granted, it was against is it the glass half full or half empty? Maybe the Jets defense is just that good.
It's an intra-squad
game. What do you make of Zach Wilson's day?
I think that's wishful thinking, fellas. It's not exactly the 85 Bears. The more and more people that I talk to, and it's funny, I just talked to former Jet defensive end Hugh Douglas last week, and he and I were kind of going back and forth about people. There's a lot of people around the National Football League that think it was a lateral move from Sam Darnold to Zach Wilson. And, I know it's, you get a top 5 pick. People are very excited to have him. But, after the performance in that green-white game, a lot of those doubters kind of looking at that as like, man, we could have got that from Sam Darnold. You give him that protection with all the, you have Mekhi Becton last year, Elijah Vera Tucker this year. Man, I know he's just a rookie, but people want to see a lot more. Again, it's not exactly the 85 Bears he's going up against.
I will calm you down, Mark. You calm me down sometimes in baseball. It is an intra-squad game. He's a rookie quarterback. He's got to learn. Let's move on to one other thing here. Coming up this week, Hard Knocks, which this year features the Dallas Cowboys. So what can you look forward to?
Dak Prescott less Cowboys as well.
What can you look forward to from Hard Knocks? What type of controversies do you think may happen?
Listen, it's going to be Jerry, and Jerry Jones. I mean, think about this Dallas Cowboys. They're a team that is more equipped for Hard Knocks. I mean, I bet you if you were to ask the NFL do it every year, they'd pick Dallas. You're going to get a heavy dose of Zeke. You're going to get Dak in there. You're going to hear a lot about, how good the wide receivers are, and I'm sure Michael Parsons as well. But a heavy dose of Jerry World, I wouldn't be surprised at all. No shortage of storylines for the Hard Knocks.
And lots of Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders as always. All right. Have a great one, Jay. Jay Retcher heard each and every week with the Capco NFL Report. Keep it tuned right here because right up next, one of the best shows on our network, BT Talks Baseball. So he's coming up next.